Hello, this is Doe Wilkerson back with old school boxing talk. Okay, this one is a week late, but I just wanted to check something out. Last week was the big fight between Kell Brook and Earl Spence Jr., and I wanted to watch that fight a couple of times. And before I came out here and put something out, I wanted to just check it out a little bit. And after watching it a couple of times, it was a pretty good fight, And I think that Kell Brook showed us a lot in that fight. He showed us a lot, and Earl Spence showed us a lot because Earl Spence really showed poise in that fight. He had to, because Kell Brook was not the pushover a lot of people would have had you believe he was going to be. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, Spence is going to just steamroll Brooks and blah blah blah. He's going to murderize him and all this." And I think that there were those of us that watched boxing, that watched that, checked out Kell Brook, that realized, no, it's not going to be that easy. That, yeah, we think Spence will win, but it's not going to be easy. He's going to have to, earn this one. And he did. Kell Brook gave him everything he could handle. I have Kell Brook winning the first 5 rounds of the fight. And I think about the 6th round, I had him win the first 5 rounds, but the end of the 5th round is when Spence started taking command of the fight. And at the end of the 5th, Spence started taking command, started, really slowing Brooks down. And then 6, 7, 8, 9, were all Spence's. And of course, the 10th round with the knockdown, we could see that Earl Spence gradually, slowly but surely, broke his man down, and of course, eventually stopped him in the 11th. Kell Brook gave Earl Spence everything he could handle, and then some, and it was just one of those fights that, it's a damn good fight, and it showed us a lot about Earl Spence. It was his coming out party. But I'm not ready to just go out and anoint Earl Spence the second coming of Sugar Ray Leonard just yet. Need to see a little bit more. Need to see him against someone else. Need to see him a little more. And that takes me back to another topic that happened a week before that, which was Gary Russell Jr. making his second defense of his featherweight title. And, Gary Russell Jr. is a guy that, to me, the jury's still out. I'm not going to totally dismiss Gary Russell. See, my thing is this: when you lost to a man who had 2 professional fights, and you had 24 fights at the time, and I don't want to hear about Lomachenko's extensive amateur career and blah 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 and World Series of Boxing and all that other bullshit. The fact of the matter is, up until the point where you fought Lomachenko, he was the best guy Gary Russell had faced at that particular moment. And Gary Russell lost decisively. There was no questions about that decision loss. And there were moments in that fight that I thought Lomachenko might actually stop Russell. But like a true champion, Gary Russell Jr. has come back from that. And, he's stepped up the opposition since the Lomachenko loss, which was good because before he was fighting TBA, to be announced, and he was fighting a bunch of guys he shouldn't have been in, come on. After a while, he should have been tested long before, and I think that was the reality for him and his people that, when they fought Lomachenko, they got a wake-up call that, oh my gosh, we should have been prepared for this kind of a guy because we weren't. We were fighting all these guys who were much better than that. We should have been fighting better guys than what we were fighting. And we weren't. And they got a wake-up call. Since then, he's, 3-1 in championship fights. He's won his last 3 championship fights, winning the WBC Featherweight Championship and defending it twice. He's looked good, against the opposition that's there. I want to see more. I think that the guys he's been in were pretty much guys that were not there to really test him. Just guys that he has, again, hand all these advantages, and guys that pretty much, in my opinion, were one dimensional and pretty much. I want to see Gary Russell. I want to see more from Gary Russell before I start, talking about him in, you know, in a more glorified vein. I want to see more. Um, then, of course, this week we just had Adonis Stevenson make the 8th defense of his light heavyweight championship. Excuse me, the lineal light heavyweight championship, by the way, in a rematch with Fonfar and Andrew Fonfar or something like the Fonfar, a fight that honestly nobody really wanted. He beat Fonfar, earlier. Yeah, it was a fight where he dropped Fonfar, but Fonfar also dropped him, but he won the fight. Nobody, but since that fight with Adonis, Fonfar really, Fonfar isn't done. He had a good win over Nathan Cleverly, but after that he got destroyed by Joe Smith Jr. And of course, then tonight again he got destroyed by Adonis. I guess in this worthless rematch. Maybe it was a fight that just to get Adonis busy again. I guess to knock off the ring rust. But now Elder Alvarez, who is his mandatory, and I'm hoping to see that Elder Alvarez won a decision tonight, a majority decision over John Pascal, and it should have been a unanimous decision, but it is what it is. It's in Canada, so at least he got the decision. So Elder Alvarez gets to a majority decision over Jean Pascal, and he's the next guy. He's the mandatory. He's next in line for Adonis Stevenson. That's going to be a fight that I think Alvarez could give Stevenson some trouble. And Stevenson has best be on his A game on that one, because I think Alvarez could be the guy that, I would, could upset Stevenson. I wouldn't be shocked if he did. And he has the skills to do it. He has the ability to do things that give Stevenson trouble. Only thing we have to know is how good is his chin, because Stevenson's straight left hand is a beast. So if he can withstand some shells, I think if Elder Alvarez can get through the first 5 rounds, I think he then beats Adonis, because Adonis starts getting tired. In the fight with Fonfar, we've seen that Adonis, the leader, goes. Adonis really, was just, I think Alvarez could, if he goes deep, would get him. And that's one of the reasons, even when Sergey Kovalev and Adonis Stevenson were both champions before Sergey lost to Andre Ward. And even today I always believed that Sergey Kovalev would beat Adonis Stevenson, because I believe that Sergey Kovalev not only could take Adonis Stevenson's punch, but could deliver a hell of a punch right back. I believe Sergey Kovalev could take what Adonis is dishing out, but I do not believe Adonis could take what Sergey is dishing out. So I believe that if those two had fought, Sergey Kovalev would have beat him. Just like I believe, should Andre Ward get past Sergey Kovalev in a rematch and he fight Adonis Stevenson, he would beat Adonis Stevenson. I don't think Adonis Stevenson can beat the 2 top guys at 175, which in my opinion are Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev. And I'm looking forward to this rematch between Ward and Kovalev. It should be an interesting fight. I want to see what adjustments Sergey Kovalev makes in this fight. I want to see, because I expect Andre Ward maybe to pretty much do the same thing he did in the first fight, only maybe start a little bit quicker. I want to see if Sergey Kovalev can fight on the inside. And that seems to be the bugaboo. Sergey likes to keep you on the outside. Power puncher, he wants to keep you on the outside. And it seemed like when Andre got inside and was roughing Sergey up, Sergey Kovalev didn't know what to do. The body shots bothered him. It was a whole new experience for Kovalev. So hopefully this time around, Kovalev will have learned a trick or 20. And he will have made the adjustments. And if we're lucky, we'll have a good fight again. I picked Andre Ward to win the first fight, and I'm going to go again and pick Andre Ward to win the rematch. But should Sergey Kovalev do win the rematch, I would love to see a trilogy to settle this. I would love to see one. That would be awesome. But let's just get through the second fight, which I believe is going to be a good fight. So now that brings us, we've got that done. Okay, Kovalev and Ward is coming up in a couple weeks here. And we also got news that Mikey Garcia is going to fight Adrian Broner. Wow. I like Mikey Garcia. I've always been a fan of Mikey Garcia's. I like the guy. Adrian Broner has a lot of talent, man, and I'm not going to deny it that he has talent. The problem with Adrian Broner is between his ears, man. It's like, when you're a fighter, you have to be a fighter. Adrian Broner doesn't really seem like he wants to be a fighter. He wants to be an entertainer that can fight. Mikey Garcia is a fighter. And for that reason, and the fact that Adrian Broner has been lazy about coming in at 140 pounds, his last couple fights that was scheduled for 140 pounds, he was lazy about it. So I would not be surprised to see Adrian Broner come in overweight for this fight, for this 140-pound fight. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Adrian Broner comes in overweight for this fight. You know, I hope that Mikey Garcia and his people have some kind of penalty like what Canelo did with Chavez Jr. with, hey, every pound overweight, you owe me some money. Maybe that would get Adrian's, you know, because Adrian seems to have the love of money and love of, you know, being out. So maybe that would get him to dedicate. But I believe that if Adrian Broner comes out here and loses to Mikey Garcia the way I think he's going to lose him, and loses, he's pretty much all but done. Because you will have lost to Maidana. It will be a case of every time you stepped up in competition, you've lost. You stepped up in competition against Marcus Maidana, you lost. You stepped up in competition against Sean Porter, you lost. Adrian Broner needs to win this fight, because if he loses this fight, he's pretty much done. All those big money paydays and things he's getting, that's gone. He is reduced to, he's not a main eventer anymore. He's just reduced to being another one of the guys, you know, with a name. Because as a serious fighter, all that other crap he's been doing, you know, regardless of what you do, all other crap, being an entertainer, whatever, if you don't win, and you don't win the big ones, you just become an afterthought. You just become an act. So this fight, Adrian Broner needs this fight. Mikey Garcia is undefeated. Mikey Garcia could take an L. I mean, not that he wants to, but he could take an L because it would be his first. He's moving up to 140. A loss here for Mikey Garcia would not be as devastating as a loss for Adrian Broner will be. Because Adrian Broner loses this fight, it's pretty much his career, it's curtains, man. And you know, Adrian has so much crap going on outside of the ring that he loses this fight, he may never come back. We may never see Adrian Broner in the ring again. You know, because his career is pretty much over. You know, I remember when Adrian Broner was young and undefeated, and I seen him fight Ponce de Leon on HBO. And I wasn't impressed with him. The best guy he fought to that point, Ponce de Leon, really, I thought that fight could have been a draw, or what could, you know, they gave the decision to Broner, but I didn't think Broner really, you know, deserved that. You know, I wasn't crying, it wasn't bloody murder, but I could have seen it going the other way, and I would have had no problem with it. Then he fought. Then the next batch of opposition he fought was really a downgrade. He fought a guy, I forgot his name. Tell you that's how good the guy is. He fought a guy who you forgot his name because he was a little hot prospect for a minute, but he had no chin. So Broner fights this guy, knocks him out, and Broner fights for a vacant WBO junior lightweight title, and again, he fights lesser opposition. He is the only top layer guy he's fought. And then he was Marcus Maidana. Every time he's fought a top guy, he's lost. Paulie Malignaggi is a great fighter, but Paulie was not a great welterweight. Paulie didn't have punching power. Paulie was older. You know, so he barely beat Paulie. Adrian Broner moved up and barely beat Paulie Malignaggi. And this was the arrogance of Adrian Broner and the people around him that he jumped from lightweight right to welterweight, and then of course then he moved down to 140 after getting his ass kicked at 147. He's now at 147. Adrian Broner has lost to the two best people. He's two of the best. He's got maybe 2-2 at 147. I think the win over Paulie Malignaggi, and I guess they gave him another win over some other guy, whatever. And I guess whatever. But he's the two best people Adrian Broner's fought. He's lost to. And lost to convincing. There was no disputing the fact that he lost. I think the fight with Sean Porter, the only round he won was the 12th round where he dropped Sean Porter. And here's what makes the loss to Porter even worse than the loss to Maidana. Sean Porter's a big guy. Sean Porter probably walks around at 170, 175. So getting down to 147 is tough. They made Sean Porter come in at 145 pounds. Sean Porter never fought at 145 pounds, so you're now making him come in 2 pounds below the welterweight limit. I mean, you're making him come 2 pounds, and then they had a rehydration clause. And he still whooped Adrian Broner's ass. You gave Broner an advantage. This was supposed to be Adrian Broner the advantage of we're gonna sweat down Sean Porter so that Adrian Broner can get a good win over a quality guy, another former world champion now, former world titleist. Sean Porter won the IBF title, lost to Kell Brook, but this was supposed to be Adrian Broner's reintroduction after losing to Mike Don. They were going to, they were going to rocket ship him right back to the top. Well, nobody told Sean Porter because Sean Porter went in there and beat his ass for 11 rounds. And of course, late in the 12th round, Sean Porter got caught, got dropped, but he got up excuse me, I think if it was at 4, if Sean Porter wasn't weight drained, I don't think he would have even got dropped by that shot. But, so for me, Adrian Broner is, I expect Mikey Garcia to win, and my problem with Adrian Broner is, here's a guy with so much God-given talent, and also here's a guy that's been so overrated at the same time, because he has talent, yes, but they were comparing him to Mayweather. He's supposed to be the second coming of Mayweather, and he was never on that level, ever. He was never on Floyd's level as a fighter. And I've seen Floyd fight from the amateurs, when Floyd turned pro, and Adrian Broner was never on Floyd Mayweather's level. Never. But the hype machine, the hype, the fact that HBO and Floyd had that tenuous relationship. So HBO's, was trying to say, oh yeah, we're going to build ourselves the next Mayweather with this kid here, blah, blah, blah. And guess what? It blew up and I guess maybe Broner started believing he was the next Mayweather. He started believing his own hype, and reality set in that you're not that good. The people that tell you you're that good lie to you. You're not that good. You're good, but you're not Mayweather good. So that, I think, I'm not going to blame HBO and the hype people that hyped him up like that. I'm going to blame Adrian Broner, because there's no adage that my grandfather always told me: you're never as good as you think, as people tell you are. You're never as bad as people tell you. You're always somewhere in the middle. You're always somewhere in the middle. And when you start believing your own newspaper clippings, that's when you're on your way down. And I think what happened with Adrian Broner was he started believing his own hype. He started believing his own newspaper clippings. And that hurt him. And I expect Mikey Garcia to win. I do. But would I be shocked if Adrian Broner, knowing everything that everything I'm saying he knows, that you cannot lose this fight to Mikey Garcia. If you lose this fight to Mikey Garcia, you might as well retire. Your career is over. You're just a name opponent at that point. You're talking about getting fight with Manny Pacquiao. You're talking about fighting Keith Thurman. You're talking about all this. If you lose to Mikey Garcia, guess what, son? You might as well go to Golden Boy and be on Golden Boy, a little Golden Boy on ESPN, because that's all you're going to be as a name opponent. Now, I'm not, but in today's boxing, could he still get fights with Manny Pacquiao and some other people? Yeah, he could. But is anybody going to take him seriously? No. Because you'll probably get those fights. He could probably lose this fight and turn around and get a Pacquiao fight, because Manny Pacquiao's going to, and Bob Arum going to say, this is a safe touch. Is the money going to be as good as it would have been before? No. He was sitting there talking before he was going to fight Pacquiao, said, I won $2 million. Guess if you lose this fight, you'll get the Pacquiao fight, but you probably won't get $1 million. You might get like 700, 750, 800,000, plus maybe something off the back end. But you're not going to, and the only reason you're getting that is because you're going to do a good job of hyping this. But then the prospect then is they have to find a bunch of lower tier C-level fighters to build you up again. But the true boxing fans will really know that that's a facade, that you're not that good. That, they're propping you up just to serve you up. You're like a turkey before Thanksgiving. We're going to fatten you up to slaughter you. And that may happen to Adrian Broner if he loses to Mikey Garcia. That may happen to him for the rest of his career. He's on social media as an outgoing blah blah attitude. People drawn to him. So what'll happen is if he loses this fight, okay, they'll find a couple cherry pickers, a couple C, D level fighters for Adrian Broner to beat and look good against, and they'll put him in with Manny Pacquiao. He'll get blown out, or maybe he'll lose a decision to Manny. I don't know. He's not beating Manny Pacquiao. And then he'll go back and they'll find another C, D level opposition, and build him back up. Feed him to Keith Thurman, maybe feed him to Earl Spence Jr., But the point of the matter is, nobody's going to expect him to win those fights. He may even get fed to Terrence Crawford. When Terrence Crawford decides to make his coming out party at 147, they may even feed Adrian Broner to Terrence Crawford. Name opponent, guy with a name on it. A guy who's a 4-division titleist. HBO would sell that. Bob Arum, top rank HBO, they'll get together and sell that to make it look viable to the casuals. All them casuals out there buy that. Oh, this is a 4-division champion, man. This guy's something. Not knowing the nuances that this guy doesn't beat the best guys. So, so for me, I have to retract saying his career is over. As a serious fighter, for the serious boxing fan to take Adrian Broner seriously, if he loses to Mike Garcia, it's like, okay, this is done. We're all us serious boxing fans just going to turn the page. I think all the stories and things you hear of Adrian Broner is going to go away, because all the series boxing, people like Dante and 7-8 Sports and all the other series, Moya Bain, everybody, nobody's going to pay black fight fan. He loses to Mike Garcia, none of them brothers going to hear. You're going to hear shit about him. You ain't going to hear shit about Adrian Broner on those sites at all. You want to hear shit about him from Dan Raphael, because nobody's going to say shit about Adrian Broner because he's pretty much done. Now, what will happen is, of course, like I said, they'll build the hype train up, to serve him. Adrian will be one of them guys that'll fatten him up to serve him up. And that's going to be his career. That's what's going to come from this guy that was supposed to be the quote-unquote second Mayweather to a guy who's just a name opponent. That he'll get a bunch of wins over C and D level fighters to make him look good, make the casuals. He'll be that guy that the casuals they'll put him in there with a couple lower level fighters, put him in there, have the casuals say, ooh, ooh, ooh. And then when he fights a top tier guy, get his ass beat. That's what could happen. And, I've seen it happen. I've been a boxing fan my whole life. I've seen it happen before. I've seen that happen with fighters before. And, Jerry Cooney's a prime example of a guy that was fed bunch of old heavyweights and a bunch of garbage on the way to a title fight. And when he got near with Larry Holmes, the difference in class was shown. And then the next time Jerry Cooney stepped in there, took a couple cream puffs, and got beat by Michael Spence. Next time he stepped up in competition against George Foreman, got beat again. So Cooney was one of them guys that was, like Adrian Broner, he was real popular. He had a big following, a lot of fans. But the point is, everybody knew this guy was a joke. That this guy was, just there, he was just there. He'd bring a crowd, he'd make some money, but nobody took him seriously. After the Larry Holmes fight, nobody in the boxing community took Jerry Cooney seriously because Larry Holmes pretty much showed the world what everybody, with the smart boxing people, already knew about Jerry Cooney. He's a big guy. He's knocked out a bunch of old heavyweights and a bunch of tomato cans, but he's not the real deal. And Larry Holmes exposed that. And then after that, Jerry Cooney took some time off, and then Jerry Cooney pretty much became an attraction that he would only fight. He would only fight top tier guys. Like he came out, he was semi-retired. He came back to fight Michael Spence. He said, "Ooh, this is my chance." Michael Spence beat Larry, and Michael Spence needed a payday. Michael Spence, shit, it's a good easy payday, and Michael Spence knocked him out in 5. He took some more time off, fought an old agent George Foreman. Ooh, this is my chance. George knocked him the fuck out. And I think after the fight with George, Jerry Cooney kind of just, tried to stay the fuck out of the ring. And, he was already doing other projects outside the ring, which the smart thing about Jerry Cooney was he was one of those guys that saved his money, so he didn't really need to fight, I don't think Adrian Broner's on that level that Adrian Broner saved his money. I think Adrian Broner's fighting because he lives such a lavish lifestyle that he has to fight to support that lavish lifestyle. Because I think with Adrian Broner, he wants to be Floyd, but he doesn't have Floyd talent, doesn't have Floyd money. And he's not going to make Floyd money. And that's going to be the sad part of Adrian Broner is after this fight with Mikey Garcia, should he lose this fight to Mikey Garcia, that's all going away, man. That's you in some trouble. Financially, you want to take a cut back because all of those big paydays, you may get some, but you ain't gonna get them like, you would if you'd have been legit. So that's, and the Andre Ward Sergey Kovalev fight, it's gonna be a good fight. I want to see what happens here. Like I said, I predicted Ward would win the first fight. I'm riding with Andre Ward to win the second fight. And like I said in the video I did before the first fight, would I be shocked if Kovalev won the fight? No, I wouldn't. I like Ward to win the fight, but I would not be shocked if Kovalev won this fight. I wouldn't have been shocked if Kovalev won the first fight. I wouldn't be shocked if Kovalev wins this fight. I wouldn't, because it's not like Sergey Kovalev's a bad fighter. Sergey Kovalev's a damn good fighter. It's just that Andre Ward, I think what it comes down to is ring IQ. I think Andre Ward has a higher ring IQ than Sergey Kovalev. Andre Ward can make adjustments. Sergey Kovalev's a damn good fighter, but he's a European fighter. He fights a certain way. And as long as he can impose his will on you, and as long as, he can impose his will, you can do whatever. But with Andre Ward, see, Sergey came in his fight, he used to hit the guy like he hit Bernard Hopkins, dropped Bernard, and Bernard Hopkins was like, okay, well, let's just go 12. But Bernard didn't try to trouble him anymore. Bernard just did enough to just keep his ass from getting knocked out. That's what happened after with the fight with Bernard, and Bernard just pretty much gave him that WBA and IBF belt because all Bernard wanted to do was not get his ass carried out. And after Sergey dropped him, he's like, okay, I'm not getting carried out of here, so I'm just going to do enough to make sure I don't get knocked out. And Kovalev understood that, and Kovalev, what I'm upset about is he didn't press it to get Bernard out of there. I think that Sergey Kovalev pressed it a little more, he could have got Bernard out of there. But he didn't. He was content to just go with, carry this guy for 12 rounds, win those 2 belts, because I've seen Kovalev in fights where when Kovalev wants to get you the fuck out of there, I've seen Sergey Kovalev step up and get you the fuck out of there. So I know he has it in him to do that. Um, this fight with Andre Ward, though, is a case of a guy with a very, very, very high ring IQ. Probably the smartest fighter in boxing today inside the ring. That can make adjustments on the fly. That has the heart of a lion as a champion. Has not lost since he was 12 years old. Does not know the meaning of how. Does not know anything about losing. And here's Sergey Kovalev, who, if I have one problem with Sergey Kovalev, it's you lost a fight, let it go, and you move on. The reason I really think Sergey Kovalev is going to lose this fight is here. Sergey Kovalev lost the first fight. Bitched and moaned and groaned about son of judges and all this shit there. Instead of him moving on, getting over it, Sergey Kovalev spent so much time with letting that fester, and so much time, that he's got to the point where Andre Ward's in his head. When Sugar Ray Leonard lost to Roberto Duran, okay, Leonard was upset about it, whatever. He was upset about it. It was a close fight, okay, But you know what Leonard did? He mentally got over it, said, okay, you got that one. Okay, you got that one. And he, went out there and put his plan together and he got his rematch. But the thing that got him there was mentally, he said to himself, he said, Duran, all right, you got that one. We're going to run this again. Sergey Kovalev, if he'd have done that and said, you know what, all right, Andre, you got that one, and went out there and trained whatever, I probably would be picking Kovalev. But the reason I'm not is because Sergey Kovalev is still crying, still whining, still moaning, groaning, listening to all these little idiots about the first fight. Fuck it, it's done. There ain't nothing you going to say at this point in time going to change the results of that first fight. So you should have been like, all right, you got that one. All right, you don't got to be happy about it, but you got to let it go. And you got to get back in there. You got to mentally refocus yourself. Leonard refocused himself for the second fight with Duran, and you see what the outcome was. He frustrated Duran, changed his whole game up, frustrated. Sergey Kovalev is still not mentally over the first fight. And that's where a lot of boxing is 95% mental, 5% physical. And the part that's going to beat Sergey Kovalev is mental. Not the physical, it's the mental. There's going to be moments in that fight where he's going through something. When Andre Ward rushes up on him, gets on his chest, starts banging him to the body, the Kovalev's going to go, oh no, here we go again. What can I do? God, I wasn't prepared for it. There's going to be moments of doubt. And I don't know if mentally Sergey Kovalev has what it takes to get over that, to put that aside of him, to put that and make the adjustments necessary. Will he listen to his trainer, or will he do something stupid? That's my question on Sergey Kovalev coming into this fight, is his mentality. That this one loss seems to have destroyed him. Seems to have just wiped out. He seems to have forgotten what a great fighter he is and what a great champion he was. He let one loss define him. And this is what, I blame a lot of, I blame a lot of the boxing media. I blame a lot of the networks because, there was a saying back in the old days that if you got to 30-0 and you never 30 fights and you won 30 fights in a row, and you were undefeated after 30 fights, you never fought nobody. You didn't fight nobody. You were fighting and that was proven. And matter of fact, a modern day example of that was proven was Gary Russell when he fought Lomachenko. Russell went to 24-0, and when he fought 1-1 Lomachenko and lost badly, we saw that, Russell, you didn't fight nobody. But what happened after that was Gary Russell let that go, refocused himself, retuned himself, stepped up his opposition a bit, and, he's looking better. Sergey Kovalev has let that one loss define him. He's forgotten all the great things he's done. He's forgotten all, what, he was. He is that guy that it seems like to me. Kovalev is in a battle with Golovkin to see who's the best fighter from Eastern Europe, and oh my God, I lost, so now I'm behind Golovkin. But Kovalev, honestly, Kovalev has a better resume than Golovkin. Even before the Andre Ward fight, Kovalev had a better resume than Gennady Golovkin. Excuse me, the Gennady Golovkin, the best two fighters he fought, Kell Brook, Danny Jacobs. That's it. That's the list. The best two fighters he fought. Sergey Kovalev was beating the best guys at 175. And don't give me the, oh, he beat an old Bernard Hopkins. And old Bernard Hopkins beat John Pascal. And old Bernard Hopkins beat Babinov. And old Bernard Hopkins beat Tavares Cloud. And took the IBF title from Cloud. Beat Babinov and took the WBA title from Babinov. So don't tell me about it. Sergey Kovalev beat an old Bernard Hopkins. And old Bernard Hopkins was still winning fights. So I'm not going to discredit Kovalev's win over Hopkins. The bottom line is Sergey Kovalev has a better resume than Gennady Golovkin now. My problem is that I believe that Kovalev is just letting this thing get to him, which is why I'm picking Ward to win the rematch, because I don't think Kovalev will make the adjustments necessary. And I think this fight is going to be even easier for Ward because Kovalev mentally is just checked it. Mentally, he's just beat himself, and he's going to continue until Kovalev takes some time away, gets over that loss, and says, "All right, fuck it, it's behind me. Let's get it going up again." You know, that's the only thing that's going to happen, and I do believe that Kovalev, should he lose this fight, this will be his last fight at 175. I think he'll go up to cruiserweight, and I expect him to dominate it at cruiserweight. I believe Kovalev could be the guy that could really, be the greatest cruiserweight champion since Evander Holyfield. I believe Kovalev beats all those guys up there. I think the extra weight gives him that he doesn't have to cut that weight to get down to 175 is going to really help him. And I could see Kovalev actually growing into a heavyweight. He's not going to be a big heavyweight by any means. He's going to be a small heavyweight, but he, could grow into a heavyweight. But I do like Kovalev as a fighter. Like I said, the only reason I'm not picking him in the rematch is because of his mentality. His mental. Because normally I would say, okay, it's a rematch. Ward was talking his retirement stuff and all the stuff there. What is Ward's mental like? But then as much as I worry about Andre Ward's mental and what his mental is like, because usually it's like you got 1 foot out the door, 1 foot in, 1 foot out the door. You're setting yourself up there. Kovalev's mental is even worse. Because through all that bluster, through all that screaming and hollering about the first fight, there's also a lot of self-doubt that Sergey Kovalev has. He doesn't believe in himself as much. That losing his first fight took a lot of his confidence from him. And I hate to see it, and I'm hoping that, regardless of what happens in the rematch of Ward, I'm hoping that they'll get him back online, get him back on track, and because Sergey Kovalev is a hell of a good fighter. Well, so that's it for me. I'm going to wrap this up. We're pushing 40 minutes. So, till next time, this is Doe Wilson signing off. Be good.